Hi, Leadership 2. Welcome to week 26. Let's go ahead and take a look at the learning concepts and goals. The concepts are qualities of leadership, meaning of leadership, inspirational and personal values, and cultural perspective on leadership. The second one is goals. Participants will identify proverbs and common sayings related to leadership on being a leader, interpret and apply adages that represent leadership or being a leader, and clarifying personal view and values related to leadership or being a leader. Proverbs and adages offer a springboard for anyone to think about personal beliefs, characters, and behavior. Because such statements are part of everyday conversation, most people are familiar with learning lessons based on proverbs. Everyone works in small groups to interpret proverbs, identify the qualities leaderships they express, and looking beyond the obvious to consider how the messages apply to their own lives and leadership experiences within this activity. Participants can choose to focus the activity on broader topics the group is discussing, such as personal goal setting, service learning, character development, etc. Using proverbs to talk about characters and leadership is a fun and interesting way to give new meanings to phrases that people have heard throughout their lives. Most people can rattle off a list of proverbs as long as they know what the term refers to. Proverbs are considered universal views that represent the truth in a concise way. Different people can say the same thing in different settings, and most people can interpret what they mean. For example, authors use proverbs to set the tone for characters' behavior or actions. Parents can use proverbs to guide kids in making decisions, and spiritual leaders use proverbs when guiding people in faith communities. Proverbs are a little different from quotations, which are statements that can be attributed specifically to one person and which usually relate to an event or situation at a certain time in history. Many proverbs have sprung from a quote, um, the attribute to an individual, but most have become a part of a language or expression without regarding to who first made the statement. If you choose to write down your own wise sayings for this activity, you don't have to worry about the distinction between proverbs and quotations. Use both if it's convenient for you. And when you're doing this activity, you may want to ask the participants to give you examples of proverbs they heard before having them interpret the sayings or on the handout. However, I'm taking this a little bit further and I'm just going to see what you know. If this activity, if there's something that makes it a little bit difficult, don't worry about it because you can either look it up on the internet to find out what the proverb's saying actually means, or you can just take a best guess. You will not be penalized, of course, for doing so. So let's go ahead and dive into this activity so you know what I'm talking about. The directions for this activity, if this was in a group, we would be able to have a box with slips of paper in it, and in that box of slips of paper would have a proverb written right on it. Everyone would take one, and then in small groups they'd work together to figure out what the proverb meant and decide what qualities of leadership and human behavior the words express. For example, suppose someone drew a slip that said, "The early bird catches the worm." I would like you to think about what does this mean in terms of how people can behave. What does it mean for a group that wants to accomplish something? What could it mean for someone who is trying to be an effective leader? What qualities does this proverb suggest a leader might need? On the slips of paper, you have space also on there to write down just words or ideas. For this class, I would like you to do this activity, but we're just going to do it in a different way. In Blackboard, there's an activity worksheet that is called Wise Sayings. It has several proverbs on it, and I would like you to read it and interpret what you think it means in relation to you and to leadership, and then send it back to me when you are done. Now, like I said, you might not have an exact idea for each one of them, but I would like you to fill out as many as you can. And like I said, if you get stuck, you can either just skip it or you can actually just maybe look it up by doing some research on Blackboard. Or you could even ask your parents or anybody else around you to see if maybe they know what the proverb is supposed to mean, and then relate that back to leadership. So there's two components of each one of these that I want you to have is what it would mean to you and what does it mean to you for leadership. Okay? If you have any questions, as always, let me know and have a great week.